just added to the gloom. My name is John Park, and I was mayor of Memphis in 1862. The morning of June 6th dawned clear and beautiful. Scouts had sent rockets up the night before to tell us that gunboats were approaching Memphis. The bluffs lined with people to watch the conflict. The Confederates opened fire, and the shells and the cannonballs rattled windows all up and down the bluff. The crowd screamed with delight, confident of their boys in gray. But after the Confederates stopped shooting in about 15 minutes, the Yankee rams rushed toward them, disabled one boat and sank a second. In the confusion that followed, all the Confederate gunboats on the river, all the Confederate boats for that matter, were either sunk, captured, or floating helplessly. The screams turned to moans. The battle had lasted only 90 minutes and Memphis had fallen. The Federals sent Captain James Ellet III ashore to take control of the city, and I'd received a note demanding that I surrender, which I did not. I replied, I have only to say that as the civil authority has no means of defense, by the force of circumstances, the city is in your hands. I was born in Ireland, but I was an avowed rebel. Though they kept me as mayor of Memphis, I helped the Confederacy every way I could. Memphis had become a center of contraband, with medicines and information secreted across the Mississippi border to the Confederate Army. In 1864, we were all ousted from office, primarily myself, but not until after General Sherman had arrived and given an order that anyone who did not take an oath of allegiance to the federal government be banished from the city, which made very little difference to the Confederate sympathizers. But life was not easy under the federal occupation. Anyone deemed a Southern sympathizer was thrown into the Irving Block prison and left to rot. We were all ousted from office in 1864, as I have said. But in 1865, the occupation officially ended, and the voters put me back in office. Racial tensions were unfortunately very high, mostly between the black soldiers mustered out at Fort Pickering and the predominantly white Irish police force. On April 30th, it came to a boil when a rumor spread like wildfire that a black man had been shot by a white man. The city endured 3 days of bloody, violent rioting, at the end of which 48 people were dead, and there was $500,000 worth of damage. Federal investigation determined that it was civic authorities, primarily myself, that did nothing to stem the conflict or avoid the situation. And that was not the case at all. My friends told them I was simply too intoxicated at the time to be of much assistance. Much to my dismay, it was one of the incidents that caused Reconstruction to be so brutal on its own. And that finished my political career, and I retired quietly to the family farm in Brunswick, where I lived 3 decades longer, dying in 1896. Many of my family still live in the area, and Park Avenue was named for my family. I appreciate your visit, and I wish you good health on the rest of your journey. Slanja.